Today we're going to learn some interesting facts about how people in New Orleans bury their dead. We got on the tour bus and went to the cemetery with our tour guide.
Right. That river overflowed so many times, and it also was diverted so many times that it actually built up its own levee system.
Hey guys, today we're going to tour the Catholic Cemetery, St. Louis Cemetery, number 3 here in New Orleans. This place is massive, and it got its start in 1848. Today, there are approximately 10,000 multiple-use burial sites, 5,000 condo-like mausolea, 3,000 wall vaults, and 1,500 to 2,000 individual family tombs. The tomb to our right that looks like a castle, she said was well over $1 million.
Someone in this family died in a battle, or they died before their time, a child. You know, when you turn a torch upside down, supposedly the light goes out. All right? Fences. Why do we put fences around our tombs? Well, one of the reasons was to show you had money, because those babies were not cheap. And another reason was to keep out grave robbers. Because around here, grave robbers didn't even have to go through the trouble to dig you up. They just had to break into your tomb. And people were buried with jewelry back then.
We learned so many interesting facts as we walked through this cemetery. They bury their dead above ground because the water table is so close that caskets would float out of the ground. They put the bodies in the casket inside the tomb where it stays for 1 year and 1 day. They do this because of the hot Louisiana summers. They believe the body would be decomposed enough to move it to the bottom of the tomb. The body is then taken out of the casket, put in a body bag, and placed in the bottom of the tomb. And entire families are buried literally on top of one another. We learned that the wreaths on the tomb like this one were made from human hair. Some of the tombs were very elaborate and some were very plain. There's a fee that you can pay once a year for perpetual care, and you could tell the ones who had perpetual care because their tombs were very well kept. There were tombs as far as your eye could see. We found this place so interesting. It's so very different from where we live and the graveyards that we have in our area. We were told that people would come to visit their family tombs and spend the entire day. They would bring a picnic lunch and sit around the tomb. Some of the tombs even had a seating area. This was a Catholic cemetery, and down there, they're very particular with their cemeteries. If you are not of the Catholic faith, you're not allowed to be buried in this cemetery. They also have Protestant cemeteries down there. Our tour guide stopped at various places and told us details about the cemetery. We can really see how you could spend an entire day in here. There is so much to see, and it is so fascinating. We loved this statue of Saint Teresa. It said, if you pray, you will have faith. If you have faith, you will love. And if you love, you will serve. And if you serve, you will have peace. This is one of those tombs that we saw that had a seating area to the side. In the New Orleans area, there's a group of 42 cemeteries that are historically and culturally significant. Sometimes these are referred to as cities of the dead, and these are big tourist attractions. The first known public cemetery appeared in New Orleans in 1725, and it was in the block area today known as the French Quarter. If you had a family tomb and a member of the family was in the tomb in the casket and it had not been the full year plus 1 day, and another family member died, they would have to take the newest deceased and put them along the wall temporarily until the full 365 days plus 1, where they could move the body out of the casket into the lower part and put the newly deceased person inside the tomb. It was a whole entire process, very fascinating to learn about. Here, our tour guide was explaining the whole process of how the bodies were put in and rotated from top to bottom when a new one would come in. This wall that we see to our left is where they put the bodies temporarily if their tomb was unavailable, or if they did not have a tomb, they could be placed there.
If you go up, you can actually see the lady is holding her dead infant.
This one was so very sad. It was the lady on top of the tomb holding her dead infant, and the urn on top was not a full urn, which meant that a life was taken too early. Our tour guide also explained that many of these tombs have an upside-down torch, which means a life was taken from the earth too soon and snuffed out. The tradition of waiting 1 year and 1 day between openings of the tomb was not always sufficient for adequate decomposition, even under the harsh conditions of the climate of New Orleans, but these burial practices continue in contemporary times. If you ever have the opportunity to go on a tour of one of these cemeteries, we highly recommend it. It was so fascinating, and we learned so many things that we never knew. It's so different from where we live. After our tour, we got back on our bus, went back to our hotel. If you'd like to see more of our videos, click the video that just popped up on your screen.